Good morning, everybody. I realized I did the last video talking about Walt Disney and J.C. Nichols, the founder of the shopping mall, and Lowell Fillmore, the son of the founders of Unity, all having converged at the Kansas City Institute of Art. And that I was sort of calling it the Holy Trinity, as it were. It's funny, the last Philip K. Dick book that I read ended in Lee's Summit, Missouri, and that is the town outside of Unity Village. And really kind of the big money came for Lowell to really be able to expand the village. They bought a huge amount of land. I'd say maybe 20 minutes outside of Kansas City, and made a veritable, their own little sort of Vatican with bigger grounds, as it were. This was all done in Italian Rococo style, I believe, and there were very kind of interesting hideaways in these kind of recesses here. Offices. There's our little Masonic Obelisk. And it was a place heavy with symbolism. Most of this was built during the 20s and 30s, so you get a lot of this Art Deco stuff going on. And then there is sort of the more, recent overlay that is more new agey and much less mysterious. But here, there were lots of porticos. I'm not finding a lot of indoor shots, and the indoors were really extraordinary. There were a lot of these winding back staircases that were made of glass bricks with pink staircases. It was like being inside of a snail, or like a giant nautilus. Here are some old images. Unity no longer uses the Egyptian wings. I think maybe people caught on to them. I'm not sure. I remember my father being very upset about it when it happened. They came and took out the wings and did it very surreptitiously. Most of them were destroyed, but there were these, and most of them were even darker, very, very, very dark wood in these mysterious pathways. And see, now this is the newer kind of Comfort Inn looking stuff or whatever. Not so nice. And you would walk through these porticos and go through these entrances, and everything would be very dark inside except for those pale stairwells. And there would be these dark Egyptian, probably some kind of wood from the rainforest, just all over the place. So it's a very fascinating place to be. And I'd like to find even more photographs for you, because this is only a small part of Unity Village. Sorry, I don't know what that is. And it also had like the Cotswold, like a big giant pretend Cotswold where a lot of ministers lived, and where there was an inn. There was a hotel that was torn down a few years ago. There's a giant golf course, orchards, and mansions that the descendants live in. It is set up as a dynasty. I thought this was interesting to see this key for people who are into the whole Masonic imagery thing. Here's more of, another one of these kind of faith bridges, they would call them. And there were like swimming pools from the 1920s. So it was a very, very lavish place. And I believe there was a quarry or something nearby that a lot of the materials may have been local, but that there were a lot of craftsmen from Italy and from England and different places. So it was a very, very extravagant sort of place. And then this became their new logo. Usually you see Unity in a light blue color, but they wiped out the wings. I don't know if they felt they were caught with their pants down. I saw that the Temple of the Vampire uses the wings as well, so I don't know if they felt they were being usurped or something. If you go to Temple of the Vampire, they have these wings as well, but they have a skull in the middle. They don't have the earth, so it is rather different. But I do remember that my father was very upset about that. How could they take away the wings and, burn or destroy or sell on eBay all of these very expensive deco wings that had been put throughout this mysterious area there. So that's the new sort of more sanitized Unity, and we'll be getting more into anecdote stories. I do have some pictures set up that are more personal, but I did want people to get a sort of a feeling of the lay of the land, as it were, of what it is we're talking about. And when I mention a Disneyland aspect, I really am talking about the real estate here. And now this is J.C. Nichols, our little founder of the shopping mall. This is his area in Kansas City. So there are a lot of similarities, and it's kind of about going into these worlds, as it were. And there's those interesting doors. So we're definitely talking about a kind of a dreamscape here. I guess that they like to use a lot of this for wedding pictures, but I recall these very mysterious offices that were up on some of these floors. There was a man named Sicking who, I believe, actually no, I don't believe, I know his brother was in Hill Street Blues later on, and he had taken LSD legally up there in one of those areas, kind of before it became illegal. So there was experimentation with psychedelics going on in the 60s as well. And I'd also like to get into the resident poet, James Dillett Freeman, and talk about him some more too. He had the first poem, maybe the only poem, put on the moon. So there was this kind of weird sort of their own little kind of celebrity thing going on. Unity also had, or still has, a huge underground. I recall that all of their publishing was done underground, and they had an incredible capacity and publishing area going on with people that really looked like the Minions down there, who were just really busy, and they'd go here, there, and everywhere. And I think they were the publishers of the Daily Word and Wisdom and a lot of other publications as well. Unity Village originally was vegetarian and had a famous vegetarian restaurant on the premises, and even kind of big bad boys, part of the Kansas City political scene, would get in their limos and drive out there because it was a sort of this cool, beautiful hangout. They now serve meat and probably alcohol as well. It's interesting that way. But we will get into some more depth regarding unity and their little Egyptian roots that are now being covered up. Take good care. Good morning.